I was sitting alone in my usual coffee shop on a Saturday morning, watching people rush past the window. Everyone assumed I was unemployed because I did not wear a suit or sprint to some office building. Even my ex-wife thought that. It is actually why she left me 3 years ago. I smiled, thinking about what nobody knew. My phone buzzed. A text from my assistant read, "Mr. Parker, the board meeting is confirmed. For 3 p.m. The termination documents are ready." I took another sip of coffee, feeling a strange mix of peace and anticipation. Sometimes people see what they want to see, and sometimes the truth hits harder than any revenge you could plan. Before we dive into what happened next, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop a comment below and let me know your city or country. If you are enjoying this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because what I am about to share taught me that silence is not weakness. Sometimes it is the loudest power move you can make. But before I tell you how I went from unemployed loser to their boss, let me take you back to where it all began. Jessica and I got married 5 years ago. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue in Fremont. Back then, I was working as a software engineer at a small startup in Seattle, pulling in around $85,000 a year. Nothing extraordinary, but stable. We rented a 1-bedroom apartment with a view of Puget Sound. Life felt simple and good. On weekends, we cooked together, tried new recipes, hiked trails in the Cascade Mountains. Those were the days when everything seemed possible. I had always carried this idea in my head about building an AI automation platform for small businesses, something that could revolutionize how mom-and-pop shops managed their inventory customer relationship scheduling. After work, I would stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning writing code, testing prototypes, refining algorithms. Jessica used to bring me coffee during those late-night sessions. She would kiss the top of my head and say, "You are going to change the world, babe. I believe in you." Those words meant everything to me. After 2 years of development, I made the decision. I quit my job to go full-time on the startup. We had about $40,000 in savings, and I was ready to bootstrap this thing. Jessica agreed, though I could see the worry in her eyes. She trusted me. Those first 6 months were filled with hope. I worked 16-hour days, survived on instant noodles, and black coffee lived and breathed my product. I landed a few early customers. The revenue was small, maybe $3,000 or $4,000 a month, but it felt like validation. It felt like we were onto something real. Then reality hit harder than I expected. By month 9, our savings account was nearly empty. I could not pay myself a salary. Every dollar went back into the product, into servers, into marketing, into making it better. Jessica had to cover all our bills. Rent was $1,800 a month. Add groceries, utilities, her student loans. She never complained at first, but I noticed the shift in her eyes. The way she looked at me changed from admiration to something closer to concern, maybe even doubt. Dinners became quiet. She would ask gently, "Sam, maybe you should look for a job. Just part-time, to help out." I refused every time. I explained the company was about to break even, that we just needed 3 more months. But 3 months turned into 6. 6 turned into 9. I kept making promises I could not keep on the timeline I wanted. The tension grew in small ways. Jessica wanted to take a vacation. I could not afford it. Her friends would post pictures of their husbands buying houses, taking trips to Europe, starting families. Every time we visited her parents, her father would ask, "So, Sam, how is the job hunt going?" I would try to explain I was not job hunting. I was building a company. But they looked at me with pity, like I was delusional, like I was a child who refused to grow up. Around month 15, I started noticing Jessica coming home later. She said she was going to happy hours with coworkers. One name came up more than others: Brad. He was a senior marketing manager at some big tech corporation. I met him for the first time at Jessica's company holiday party. He was tall, polished, wearing an expensive suit, driving a new BMW. When he shook my hand, his grip was firm, his smile confident, but somehow condescending. "So you are the entrepreneur," he said. "Jessica told me about your project. That is cute, man. Really brave." The way he said cute and brave felt like an insult wrapped in politeness. One night, Jessica came home and sat me down at our small kitchen table. Her face was serious. "Sam, this is not working. We cannot live like this forever." I begged her for more time. I told her we had just signed a bigger client, that things were turning around. She shook her head slowly. "You have been saying that for 18 months. I am tired. I am 32 years old. I want stability. I want a family. I cannot do this with you." The next day, while I was out meeting with a potential investor, Jessica moved out. I came home to an empty apartment. Her clothes were gone. Her books, her coffee mugs, everything. On the kitchen table sat her wedding ring next to a handwritten note. "I am sorry. I cannot wait anymore. You deserve someone who can believe in dreams. I need someone who can provide reality." I sat in that empty apartment for hours. I did not cry. I just felt numb, hollowed out. But somewhere, deep inside, a small voice whispered, "Keep going." 2 months later, a mutual friend told me Jessica was dating Brad. 4 months after that, they got engaged. Brad proposed at some fancy French restaurant with a 2-carat diamond ring. I saw the photos on social media. Everyone congratulating them. Everyone so happy for her new beginning. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach, but I did not stop working. I moved to an even smaller studio apartment for $900 a month. I ate ramen for dinner most nights. I cut every expense I could, but I did not kid on my company. I worked 20-hour days because there was nobody waiting for me at home anyway. And then something shifted. The company started gaining real traction. I signed 3 major enterprise clients in 2 months. Revenue jumped from $15,000 a month to $80,000. By year 3, everything exploded. A venture capital firm from Silicon Valley invested $5 million in a Series A round. I expanded my team from 3 people to 20. I rented office space in a downtown Seattle high-rise. Revenue hit $2 million a year and was growing 40% every quarter. My little project, the one everyone called cute, was becoming a real force in the industry. But here is the thing. I kept a low profile. I still drove my old Honda Civic from 5 years ago. I wore jeans and hoodies, not suits. I worked remotely most of the time, blending into coffee shops and co-working spaces. I did not post anything on social media about my success. I did not want anyone to know, especially not Jessica. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was protection. I just wanted to build something real without the noise. As the company grew, I started acquiring smaller companies in the same space. One of them was called Market Pulse Incorporated, a marketing automation firm based in Portland with about 50 employees. I bought it for $8 million, but I kept my identity hidden. I set up a holding company structure where I was the silent owner. The old management team continued running daily operations. Nobody knew who really owned the place. After the deal closed, I was reviewing the employee list, and a name jumped out at me. Brad Morrison, Senior Marketing Director. I checked his LinkedIn profile to be sure. It was him. Jessica's new husband, and 4 of his closest friends also worked there. I sat back in my chair staring at the screen. The irony was almost too perfect. I decided not to do anything immediately. I just wanted to observe. I asked my CFO to send me performance reports on the Market Pulse marketing team. Brad and his crew were average at best. Not terrible, but not impressive either. There were a few client complaints about lack of innovation, some missed deadlines. Nothing egregious enough to justify immediate termination, so I waited. 6 months after the acquisition, I attended a business networking event in Seattle. It was hosted by a local business association, and dozens of companies sent representatives. I went alone, dressed casually, just blending into the crowd. I was standing near the bar, holding a glass of water, when I heard a voice I recognized. I turned slightly and saw Brad standing with a group of 4 or 5 guys, all laughing loudly, and next to him was Jessica. She was pregnant, maybe 6 months, along her hand resting on her belly. They had not seen me. I stepped behind a large potted plant, not hiding exactly, just staying out of sight. That is when I heard Brad talking. Yeah, Jessica's ex-husband. Poor guy. Last I heard he is still unemployed. Been like what, 3 years now? One of his buddies laughed. Seriously, what does he do all day? Brad shrugged. I do not know, man. Probably playing video games in his mom's basement. Jessica dodged a bullet. The whole group erupted in laughter. Jessica did not say anything. She just smiled awkwardly, looking uncomfortable, but not defending me either. Brad continued, his voice full of self-satisfaction. I mean, who quits a real job to chase some fantasy startup in this economy? That is just irresponsible. Jessica deserves better. She deserves stability. A real man who can provide. Another guy chimed in. You are a good guy, Brad. Taking care of her after she wasted years with that loser. Brad puffed up his chest. Well, someone had to step up. That is what real men do. We do not chase pipe dreams. We build real careers, make real money. I stood there completely still. Time seemed to freeze. I was not angry. I was not hurt. I just felt this strange calm wash over me. They truly had no idea. And somehow, that made it almost funny. I left the event early, without confronting anyone. I got in my car, sat in silence for a moment, then called my CFO. Pull up the full employment records for Brad Morrison and his team at MarketPulse. I need performance reviews, client feedback, everything. My CFO paused. Is there an issue, sir? I kept my voice even. Just doing due diligence. I will make a decision next week. Over the next 3 days, I reviewed every piece of work Brad's team had produced in the past 6 months. What I found was worse than I thought. Brad had overcharged a client by 30%, and the client had complained directly to management. 2 of his marketing campaigns had completely failed, wasting over $50,000 in budget. His team's logged hours did not match their actual output. There were also rumors that Brad and his friends had created a boys' club atmosphere in the office, excluding female colleagues from meetings and decisions. One HR complaint mentioned inappropriate jokes during a team lunch. I scheduled a board meeting and presented my findings in a calm, professional manner. I recommended restructuring the MarketPulse marketing department and terminating Brad Morrison and his 4 associates for underperformance and policy violations. The board agreed. I prepared termination packages that followed every legal guideline. Full severance pay, benefits continuation, everything by the book. There would be no room for a lawsuit. I set the meeting for Friday at 3 p.m. And this time I would personally attend. It would be the first time I revealed my identity as the owner. Friday afternoon I drove to the MarketPulse office in Portland. I wore a tailored suit, something I rarely did, and arrived with my CFO and head of HR. The receptionist looked confused when we walked in. She did not recognize me. Can I help you? I smiled politely. We have a meeting scheduled in the main conference room. Brad and his 4 friends were called in a few minutes later. They walked into the room, relaxed, joking with each other, completely unaware. When they saw 3 strangers sitting at the head of the conference table, their expressions shifted to confusion. Brad spoke first. Who are you guys? Where is Mr. Peterson? He was referring to the old CEO who had retired after the acquisition. I stood up slowly, making eye contact with each of them. Mr. Peterson retired after the acquisition. I am Sam Parker. I am the owner of the holding company that acquired MarketPulse 6 months ago. I let that hang in the air for a moment. Brad's face went from confusion to recognition. His eyes widened. Wait, Sam Parker, Jessica's. I nodded. Yes, Jessica's ex-husband. The room went completely silent. You could hear the air conditioning hum. One of Brad's friends turned pale. Another stared down at the table. Brad tried to recover, forcing a smile. Wow. Sam, long time. I did not know you were in business. I kept my expression neutral. Clearly, I did not waste time. I got straight to the point. Gentlemen, I am here to inform you that effective immediately your employment with MarketPulse is terminated. I handed each of them a folder containing their termination letter and severance package. You will find everything in order. severance pay benefits, continuation, reference letters, all legal and fair. Brad's confident facade crumbled instantly. Wait, you cannot do this. Why? On what grounds? I kept my voice calm and professional. Under performance policy violations, client complaints. It is all documented in your letter. Brad's face turned red. This is because of Jessica, is it not? This is personal. I shook my head. Actually, Brad, this is purely business. Your team's metrics speak for themselves. If anything, I have been more patient than I should have been. One of his friends tried to defend him. You are doing this because you are bitter. You could not handle that Jessica moved on. I looked directly at him. I am doing this because you are not meeting the standards my company requires. Your personal opinions about my life are irrelevant to this decision. Brad stood up, his voice rising. Jessica was right about you. You are vindictive. You cannot let go. I remained seated, completely calm. Jessica made her choice 3 years ago. I respect that. This decision has nothing to do with her. It has to do with the fact that you billed a client for work you did not deliver, created a hostile work environment, and represented my company poorly. Brad was almost shouting now. Your company, you were unemployed, living in some dump. Jessica told me everything. I interrupted him, my voice firm but controlled. I was never unemployed, Brad. I was building this. While you were laughing about my cute project at parties, I was closing deals. While you were congratulating yourself for stepping up, I was expanding into 6 states. The difference between us, you see a paycheck as success. I see ownership as freedom. Brad sat down heavily, the realization finally hitting him. So all this time you owned? I nodded. The company you work for, yes. The company 4 of your friends work for, also yes. Did I know when I bought it? No. Did I wait for a reason to fire you? Also no. You gave me reasons. Multiple. I paused, then continued. That conversation at the networking event, I was there, Brad. Heard every word. But that is not why I am doing this. I am doing this because you are not good at your job. I stood up, signaling the meeting was over. You have until 5 p.m. to clear your desks. Security will escort you out. I wish you well in your future endeavors. Brad looked up at me, his voice barely a whisper. Does Jessica know I considered the question? That I am successful, I do not know. That you are fired. That is your news to share, not mine. I extended my hand professionally. Good luck, gentlemen. None of them shook it. I walked out with my CFO and HR director, and I did not look back. As I reached the hallway, I heard one of Brad's friends say, Holy shit, he actually owns this place. Brad's voice was broken. Shut up. Just shut up. That evening, as I was driving back to Seattle, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. It was Jessica. Sam. Her voice was shaky. Brad told me what happened. I kept my tone neutral. It was a business decision, Jessica. Nothing more. She was quiet for a moment. He said you humiliated him. I sighed. I terminated him professionally for legitimate reasons. If he feels humiliated, that is on him, not me. There was a long pause. Then she spoke again, softer this time. I did not know. About your company. About any of it. Why did you not tell me? I thought about how to answer that. You left before it succeeded. You do not get to know now. Her voice cracked slightly. Sam, I am sorry. I did not believe in you, and I was wrong. I pulled over to the side of the road, needing to focus on this conversation. You were not wrong to leave Jessica. You wanted different things. That is fair. But you were wrong about one thing, she asked quietly. What? I took a breath. I was never the failure you thought I was. I was just on a different timeline. Another pause. Then I added, take care of yourself and the baby. I mean that. I hung up before she could respond. 2 weeks later, I was back at my usual coffee shop on a Saturday morning. The same spot by the window, watching people walk by living their lives, chasing their own dreams or paychecks or whatever mattered to them. My life had not changed much on the outside. I still wore jeans, still drove the same old car, still preferred quiet mornings over loud celebrations. But something inside me had shifted. I realized I was not angry anymore. Not at Jessica, not even at Brad. Firing him had not brought me the satisfaction I thought it might. It was just a necessary business decision. The real healing had come from proving something to myself, not to them. I did not need their validation. I never did. My company was now valued at over $50 million. We were expanding internationally, opening offices in London and Singapore. I had hired a new CEO to run day-to-day operations while I stepped into the role of chairman. It gave me more time to think strategically, to invest in other startups, to mentor young entrepreneurs who reminded me of my younger self. I also started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I was enjoying the process of connecting with people without the weight of desperation or proving anything. Just honest conversation. Shared laughter. Simple moments. I thought about Jessica sometimes, but without bitterness. I understood now that she was not the villain in my story. She simply could not wait, and that was her right. Not everyone can believe in invisible dreams. Not everyone can survive the uncertainty of building something from nothing. And that is okay. We all have different capacities for risk, for faith, for patience. I learned that real success is not about revenge. It is not about proving people wrong or rubbing your achievements in anyone's face. Real success is building something you are genuinely proud of, regardless of whether anyone else recognizes it. It is being able to sleep peacefully at night, knowing you stayed true to your vision even when the whole world doubted you. I also learned that you do not need external validation. I did not need Brad or Jessica to know I had succeeded. I did not need social media posts or fancy cars or designer clothes. Success speaks for itself quietly to the people who actually matter. That day at the networking event, Brad said real men do not chase pipe dreams. He was wrong. Real men chase what they believe in, even when everyone else calls them crazy. And sometimes the craziest dreams turn into the biggest realities. I did not fire Brad because he mocked me. I fired him because he was mediocre. And in the end, that is the real difference between us. I refused to settle for mediocrity, even when it cost me everything. He chose comfort over courage. And life rewards the brave, not the comfortable. So here is what I learned. Never let someone else's doubts define your worth. Build in silence. Succeed in peace. And when people finally see what you have become, do not gloat. Just smile, thank them for the motivation, and keep building. Because the best revenge is not firing someone or proving them wrong. The best revenge is becoming so successful that their opinions become irrelevant. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been doubted by someone close to you? Did you prove them wrong? Or are you still on that journey? Drop your story in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Your support means the world and helps us reach more people who need this message. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the courage to chase your dreams no matter who doubts you. Keep building, keep believing. Your time will come.